Well, hi everybody, and welcome to Thursday's Cosmic Conversations. Um, I know a lot of you couldn't get in for the live broadcast. We're working that out by next week. Hopefully, before that, we'll have all these last bugs and all these ghost and machines all exercised. But in the meantime, we have the host for our Tuesday Cosmic Conversations with us here, Glenda Dawson, and maybe Matt Anderson will join us, although he's at a conference in England right now, the Shine Conference.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, this is the Thursday Cosmic Conversations. Now, if you got word about it, tonight we're doing something a little special that we're going to do once in a while. We're going to do an open house, an open forum, like a town hall, where we're not going to have any special quote unquote guest speakers, although Barbara Barnett has joined us, and
Mhm.
she's very, very special. Well, we're
That's
all very special. That's the whole idea of these open town halls. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what's going on in your lives. We want to hear
Mhm.
what you may be experiencing, or what all of us certainly are experiencing, the challenges, also the triumphs, everything that we're experiencing now in this time of accelerated change. Oh, Finbar
I'm
wants to
doing.
get in again. Let's
Don't
try
worry.
to
I
admit
should
him
send them
again.
in.
Okay. So we
Yeah.
want to hear from you, what's going on in your lives, what you're experiencing. You feel you're getting closer to fulfilling do you even know what your contracts are? Do you believe that we have contracts that we agreed to fulfill before we came in to this life? What exactly is going on with you? Challenges you may be facing, the joys, and not just like the weird stuff, all the good stuff too. Just, the things you enjoy, the things that give you pleasure, the things that open your heart, you know, the ways we connect with each other. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to have a sort of like a round table, maybe like a mini panel. And so I'm Phill, I'm your host for tonight, one of your co-hosts for tonight. Glenda and I inherited this from Sheila with Cosmic
Yes.
Conversations. Sheila Seppi has been on how long, Glenda? When did Cosmic Conversations begin? How long was that? How long ago
Five
was that?
years.
25
5
years.
years.
Yeah.
Five
Yeah.
years.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I don't
Yes.
know how I first hooked up with Sheila, but I think I got on right when Sheila first started this. I
Yes, you
think
did.
I think
Yeah.
I was in one of the first ones, and I've hosted a few, but she's got so much stuff going on that she,
Hmm.
rather than just, you know, um, end these cosmic conversations, to keep them going, Sheila offered Glenda and I to host the Tuesday and Thursday programs,
Hmm.
podcasts, and we'd like to see this continue. It's got name recognition. We would have an average of, I don't know, 50, 40, 60, sometimes more,
Yes.
sometimes less people on the live broadcast. But then there was a little bit of confusion um, about, well, we don't have to get into that. There was a little confusion about,
Right.
coming on to the broadcast, even just as an attendee. But we're working
Hmm.
on all that now. The Cosmic Conversations has always been free. It's free now.
Yes.
It will continue
Hmm.
to be free. If you're interested in learning more about CAN and other programs, there certainly you can get more information. I think you can, even if you sign up and register, you have access to all the past CAN programs. And if you want to be more involved in special programs and events, then you can subscribe for
Hmm.
a modest fee, I think monthly or yearly. And that all that information is in the newsletter you get once a week, and the website, of course, and
The
certainly if you
website.
sign up.
Yes.
Okay? So
Hmm.
that's my story for now. Glenda, you intro or reintroduce yourself?
Yes. Well, I have been with Sheila since day one, when it was Wish. All that way back then. I decided to be part of when she started CAN also. And I've never really left. I just transitioned with her wherever she needed to go. She was going. And she basically, like you said, Phil, she didn't want to just really terminate this because she's got so much that she's juggling that she asked me if I could hold it for a year and see what it is. And here we go. I had to have her change it from Monday to Tuesday because Monday I'm a full-time grandmother sitter. So that's one of the days. And sorry, grandchildren come before anything else. So and so that's basically why we are doing it now on Tuesdays at my 7:30 Eastern. So and and yes, there are some glitches every once in a while, but we'll figure all this out. And besides, it is Mercury retrograde, for goodness sakes. And we have all these planets in alignment, and we have Uranus and Gemini, and we have full moon coming up. We're dead on the water with energy right now. No, I'm joking. But we have a lot of energy floating around that, needs to settle on something. And sometimes it goes on the techie stuff. So
Yeah,
um
it's already 8/8. It's already the 8/8 here already.
good.
Full moon is tomorrow. The weird
Uh-huh.
things are, I'd love to. There's a couple of videos that are going viral of people, and here in Singapore we have coffee shops, food courts, hawker centers. There's been all these fights breaking out. Seniors in this next to this durian stand, just
Uh-huh.
beating on each other. All these hitting each other with plastic chairs, knocking each other to the floor, kicking each other.
Hmm.
This is what's happening in Singapore. Some really weird stuff is going on. I don't know if there's something in the air. Normally I thrive during Mercury retrogrades. I don't know.
Right.
I never
Yeah.
think as clearly as when there's a retrograde. Well, that's me. But
Uh,
but just weird stuff
Thinking is one thing, Phil.
is happening.
Technology and
And we've got Suze here. Susie's been with us
yes.
since day one.
Day
Hi,
one,
Suze. Why don't
yes.
let's check in with Susie. Okay. How you doing, Suze?
I'm doing okay. I mean, I'm not as good as I was when I was 18, but
Well,
I'm trying, you know? And
I'll tell you,
the com
m-
the community
most
here, say what?
most days I never thought I'd hear myself saying this, but some days I wake up and I go, God, I wish I was 60 again. It's just like, oh, somebody else is coming. I never thought I'd hear myself saying stuff like this.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Barbara, we'll get to you in a minute. I can't wait. Barbara, man, I don't even know how long it's been.
Oh my
It feels
God.
like forever. But we'll get to you in a minute. So Susie has done, I think you started doing the music for see, and now someone else
Yes.
can't get in. Oh no, yes, LD,
No,
you're
no.
in. I
Yeah.
don't know what's happening with Finbar. Anyway, it's great. We'll get to you in a minute. So Susie's been doing music for us, of course. When did that
Hmm.
start? When did you start?
Well, right after COVID, I was playing music for Unity Church, and they asked me to go on Facebook because of COVID, so I just started doing a show. Sheila saw the show, this was 5 years ago, that I was doing every week, and she said, "Will you play music for our group?" And so I've been playing for 5 years, and I just love it.
Hmm.
And, somebody said, "How can you play music for free for all this 5 years?" And I go, "Because I'm on the front row of everything that's great." I mean, Sheila has so many speakers, and you guys are
Hmm.
bringing so much. I mean, I just feel like I've won the lottery. Now, this has been the worst, most difficult year of my life because my mate, my fiance, killed himself, and nobody.
Oh.
He was a major player in physics, and I was asked to speak at 9 of his memorials all over the planet because he had touched hundreds of thousands of lives. But somehow we've got to realize that our star seeds aren't all being, I feel bad that we couldn't reach him. I feel bad because he was a major, major man and gorgeous too. You should see him. Somebody came in last night and saw his picture and said, "Oh my God, he looks like a movie star." And I said, "Yeah, he
What
does."
was his name?
Sperry
Well,
Andrews. And
Okay.
he's got a website. Look on YouTube, look on everything. Um, and it's a very confusing thing. I've got 14 months of us meeting on YouTube and on Zoom, and we would talk for 5 hours. I'm going to make classes out of that because the man was amazing. He still is. He's just invisible now. He's just not, but I feel him daily. He built this place. And yeah, I'm doing the best I can. And because I'm in a community, and the community's really healthy right now. It's 20 acres of organic permaculture. Sometimes I call it somewhat conscious community, but it's very conscious right now. So
You're on
you know,
what island are you on there? Yeah, Suze is in Hawaii.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm on the Big Island.
You're on the
Yeah,
Big Island. Okay.
I have lived on all the islands and I have set up communities for decades. But this community, it's neat. I mean, this wall here is screen. All I have around me is screen. That's all, just screen and a roof and a floor. And so it's like really living in the jungle. It's quite. I still use mosquito spray in the house but it's an amazing way to heal. And I do need a lot of healing. I have no idea how this happened with Sperry, but yeah, look him up. He's quite an amazing man. And I'm still, tooth and nail trying to make it day by day.
Cool. Well, maybe you'll play a tune for us a little later. This is, after all, an open forum,
Cool.
a townhouse.
Mhm.
Quantum Doug. Doug, how are you
Hey,
doing? How is life in your neck of the woods?
well, yeah, I'm a professional developer, software developer, and but I'm interested in consciousness and I wrote just quick history. I've been doing it for 30 years. Wrote my PhD in quantum computing and 30 years, 25 years ago already, and before even the quantum computing took off, and I was doing quantum computing stuff 30 years ago already.
Wow.
And I knew it because the mind can't be explained by classical information laws. So I studied quantum computing for that. And so then, and so
Wow.
I've been on Sheila interviewed me
Well,
before.
I'd like to have you on. I'd like to get you in maybe in October.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
There
we
that.
can
you
talk
go.
Yeah,
about
let's do
dates
that.
because I'd like to do. I was talking with someone the other day about doing an AI focused or centered conversation, actually even bringing in a couple of AIs
Mm,
Yeah.
as
Well,
as co-participants. That should be
yeah.
really interesting.
Well, so
definitely.
one of the things that I'm doing is I think the mind isn't an AI. I mean, part of the problem with AI is that they believe that the brain is a classical computer, and therefore we should be able to build a mechanical one, a computer one that does the same thing as the brain. And I don't believe that
Hmm.
Mm,
because humans have telepathy and computers don't
mm,
have telepathy. And so what's the underlying foundational layer of the universe that supports telepathy, right? So I call it what's the representation for mind that supports telepathy, right? Is a technical way of talking about it. And
Ooh.
so I realized that it's all information because all of our behaviors that we have for spiritually transformative experiences and telepathy and near-death experiences and all that stuff, it's not energy, it's information. It's more like a simulation. And so it's an overlap between AI, quantum computing, and consciousness. And the intersection of those three is what I'm working on. I call source science.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
great.
like I said, and so I have quantumdoug.com is my nickname. My nickname is Quantum Doug. And I wrote a book with Bill Tiller 5 years
yeah.
ago, who was a famous guy in the
Sure.
area. And I've been on Sheila's talk before, and I'm doing talks about now this new thing that I just discovered Existon. So in March, I came up with the name Existons. And then one of the ladies who was on this channel, Fallon, she says, Existons like your new name. And so it basically says, look, what
Wow.
I've been working on for 30 years is consciousness. I
Mhm.
just didn't know it. I didn't know what to say about consciousness. I just knew it had to be bit physics. And that bit physics is also consciousness, as it turns out. So that's the big step that happened in March. And so I'm telling that story to as many people who will listen. And and consciousness and this stuff is a big thing. People like Tom Campbell and
Sure.
Federico Fagin are two people and other people like that who are saying that, you know, the world is consciousness first and simulation hypothesis second. And those two together are combined in my hyperbits. So it's a layer below quantum computing called information physics. And
Cool.
so I have a mathematical model to support that. And so I'm giving talks about it all the time now, and giving
Well,
another
you're going
one.
to give, well, I want to schedule you in for, we'll talk about dates a little bit later.
Yeah,
There are a few dates in October that are open. Barbara, we're going to get you in
sure, great.
October, God willing. Doug, also, we're going to get you in. While we're on the
Mm-hmm,
sub, Doug, hold on a
Yes.
second. Wow,
mm-hmm.
this is really fantastic, and I'm so glad you joined
Yeah,
us.
and it all is, so I've been doing really well because all this has been taken off. The universe is finally says, okay, Doug, you're ready for the next phase of source
Fantastic.
science with this consciousness layer on top of it, and I can now say something concrete about it that I couldn't say before. So
Oh, that's fantastic. So definitely we'll get you in October. Barbara, Barbara, Barbara,
Ah,
Barbara Barnett. Barbara and I go back, I guess probably we met
oh,
probably maybe
probably.
as early as 94, 93, 93, 94.
I was just remembering turning around and seeing you at that party. Do you remember?
Do I remember? I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. No, yeah, I kind of remember. Yeah.
Anyway, it's been a long time.
It's been a
I
long
can,
time when I had a challenge, a health challenge in 93, and I'd been off the grid and under the radar for quite a long time, but that kind of got me back, on the grid and on the radar. And it wasn't soon after that that I met you probably at Source of Life. I think it was maybe 93, 94, something like that.
it was, yeah.
Source of Life was a center, a holistic center in New York City. It was pretty much ground zero for a long Source of Life center was where really a lot of stuff was happening
No,
at that
this was in
time.
the West Village, Phil.
Well, this was even before that.
Yeah, it was the West Village. It may have been New Year's Eve or something, some kind of crazy gathering. And it
Yeah.
can, if you want to know how old I just turned, it'll tell you how long it's been.
Well, hey, I know to me, you're still like the Breck girl, remember? You know, like,
Not tonight.
but I do remember, but I have really solid memories of you, especially. Well, yeah, seeing you in the village, of course, coming to visit you, but it's Source of Life, the circles, where you
Mhm.
channeled among other things, the yum yums. Do you still channel the yum yums?
Oh, I have had a very interesting time because I am not vaccinated and I have I'm an empath, as you know,
Yeah.
and I I can't really be around a lot of people who've been vaccinated,
I
and
know the
so
feeling.
it's totally changed where I am and what I'm doing. It's a long story.
Yeah. I think in here in Singapore, draconian measures took effect right from the get-go. I think Singapore, and you haven't seen a lot of excess deaths and whatnot because, well, I don't know if I should say this. Well, it's true. Everybody knows this. There are the pharmaceutical companies, big farm, are building huge factories and plants here in Singapore. So it's quite possible that they
Oh,
cut
wow.
deals with the pharmaceutical companies, and it's quite possible that they got a lot of the placebos here and sugar shots. I mean, a lot of stuff that's come down in Singapore. Sure, people that have come to visit Singapore from overseas, and some people have gotten sick, but you don't. In Singapore, it's been, but maybe we'll
Sugar
talk
is
about that.
probably a good option to what really came.
Yeah, I think Singapore cut some deals to allow these plants to be built here. They're huge here in Singapore, but I think there's mainly I'm one of maybe a few hundred that haven't been vaxxed here in Singapore. And they really tried to put the heat on us for they just gave up after a while. But hey, these things happen. But listen, I remember Well, you had this beautiful place in Crestone, Satyagraha, this beautiful compound. You're not there anymore? No?
I'm not. Spirit came into the back of my car one day as was returning a bucket from my garden to a neighbor, or no, to a friend across town, and said, "You've got to get out of here now." And I
Really?
said, "Out of the driveway? Out of this part of town? Out of my car?" I had to leave.
It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful, I don't know.
Oh, it's
I spent a
exquisite.
few nights
Yeah.
there. This was in Crestone, in the heart of the San de Cristo Mountains, right?
Mhm.
The
Just a
Sangre de
beautiful,
Cristo.
the Sangre de Cristo. Beautiful, beautiful. William Burroughs said, Sangre de Cristo, blood of Christ. Will Christ never stop bleeding? Well, that's William Burroughs. But anyway, I remember it was just gorgeous there. And I guess the last time I saw you, it must be close to 30 years ago. 28 years ago, maybe 97, when we went out there cross country on a cross country trip. We stopped there for a few days in Crestone. We stayed there in a tent for a couple of days. It's beautiful. What a beautiful sky, right? A
I
lot of
think the
stuff
last
is,
time I saw you was Jody's at Jody's.
yeah, maybe in New York, right? A couple of years after
Mm.
that or something. Well, a lot of things changed after I got married. You know, I
So
was,
when were you in Crestone?
I guess the last time was in maybe 97, maybe
Okay, and Barbara, when
97,
were
98.
you there?
I just left 3 years ago.
So when did you start there though?
86,
Oh,
Okay, so you
it was
knew
beautiful.
my
85, 8,
my co-partner, my partner, a friend of mine who lived in Crestone, Mike Manthe.
probably.
Yeah, he had an A-frame in Crestone, and he was in the band, one of the bands that
Oh,
played.
cool, cool.
Blonde hair, and he was a physics guy and
Oh,
computational guy.
I think I knew him or knew of him.
Yeah.
Do you remember Diane? What was her name? Diane. Diane said, "Did you know more people?" Diane, she lived in Crestone for a while. Well, Crestone, what a magical place, you know. Best place to go sand surfing, I remember. One of the
Yeah.
best places in the world to go sand. The Tree of Life. I wonder if it's still there. A Tree of Life trading post was
And the alligator farm.
near the Great Sand Dune, the alligator farm. Oh, Crestone. You know, there was a lot of cool stuff there. Sai Baba's Center was there, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
No, not Sai Baba.
Or
There,
somebody.
Baba Ji.
Oh, Baba G.
There are probably 20 or more centers
I
there
know, right?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I arrived in Crestone, there were 75 people in town and 200 people in the Baca.
Wow.
Mhm.
So are you still doing regular programs, Barbara? I kind of got that into from what you wrote me last. Are you doing regular programs or podcasts or session work with people?
I have I I'm mostly doing uh connection to spirit right
Okay.
now. I'm doing 3 medicine wheel transmissions a day. And it's a long story because the COVID changed my life
Mm,
because I really have, I'm very empathic, and being I can walk into a place just fine, but when I get ready to leave, I look like I'm 110 because I can barely walk.
your
So
circles in the city, and I mean a source of they were some of the most beautiful. Talk about connecting to spirit and feel closer to source. They were just evenings I can't even describe. They were just
thank
it's a
you.
love that knows no earthly bounds. I mean, it was just to be in presence and their presence, the yum yums. They were just it was just such a beautiful experience and coming off a real close call I had of leaving this plane. It was just wonderful. It was a big part of my reconnection and my healing. I really do believe. And I love you so
Yeah.
much. I'm so glad we've reconnected,
Oh, it's
you know,
really beautiful to see you.
right? Well, we'll have you in October to November, the latest. LD, who are you?
That's my
You want to,
partner.
it is?
Mhm. Yeah, he's
Well,
Yes, I sent your friend request, Phil, on Facebook. Yeah, I'm Glenda's partner.
okay. Well, you got you got anything you want to share or how's life? What you had for dinner tonight? Anything, you know? We want to hear from you. We want to
Tell
hear
us,
how
Well,
it's going. Tell us about Glenda.
tell us
Tell us
about
the un
Glenda.
tell
Tell us
us the
secrets.
tell us the
Those the
untold
big
story.
secrets.
Tell us the big secret. What's Glenda really like? You know, let
well,
all
Glenda's
we
a
have a and
reflection of
Barbara
me.
and Doug, you know, we have a database supposedly of 90,000 people, and this is going to go out on multiple platforms. I was in a hostel in LA not so many months ago, down in the basement. I turned on the TV, and there is a cosmic conversation on Ryoko, whatever it is, TV.
Roku
This
TV, yeah.
Roku
Roku.
TV. The last thing I
Roku.
expected to see in a hostel, you know, down in the bay. So this goes out on multiple channels, and supposedly
Yes,
the
I've
database.
given up being hostile.
Yeah, and so it's going to go out, and we really want to get the live viewership because of a few things and a little bit of confusion. Our live viewership kind of dwindled down. We want to work because there was nothing like, yeah, it goes out to a lot of people and people can access it on all these other platforms, but just the energy, right, of just having these groups joining us live. It
Well,
was
Glenda and I
great.
are twin flame, and I try to facilitate what she's doing.
Well, that's cool. We can talk about soulmates and twin flames. I think that's always very interesting. I have my own take on that. So, so we want to, Glenda, who do you have up next on Tuesday? So we have this again twice a week. If you're
Mhm.
coming in on another channel or platform or not seeing this live,
Mm.
we do this twice a week. We're trying to extend it more than an hour. Right now, we only have an hour to work with, you know, and by the time we get Doug, and you know this, by the time we get introductions and all this other stuff and announcements, the hour goes by so fast. I look, we only have about what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes tops. I think we started a little late. You know, the
Started
hour
later.
goes by so fast, and so we want to extend it to, we may not do a full 2 hours, but we want to have a 2 hour block here. We probably will never go past 90 minutes, but just to have an hour, we need more than an hour. So we're going to
Um,
try to get a
the,
2 hour block. We were talking about that the other day, and probably not go beyond 90 minutes, but not be forced into this 1 hour block. I think, you know, you feel you have to do so much in so little time, start talking faster, want to get so much in, you know, especially me. And I don't want to feel rushed or forced, that kind of stuff. So we're going to make these, and we talked to Sheila about this, didn't we? About extending the cosmic conversation and really trying to get the live viewership back. And even because I remember we were bringing a whole lot of new people that I hadn't seen that you know, we had our regulars, right?
Mhm.
Then we were getting a whole lot of new people. I didn't know. I didn't know their faces, didn't recognize their names. So we want to get we want to get the live viewership back. And plus, it does go out on many platforms. And so it's a really good chance to to get the stuff out, you know, and to
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's the only reason they did it for 1 hour is because after an hour, people start kind of losing. They kind of start fading away.
Oh, they should hydrate themselves more to get out exercise. You know, I've noticed that really it's hard even on Zoom. You go into 5 minutes into people are in these hypnagogic states. They've lost so many of their glial cells. You know about the glial cells? Have you done a little research into the glial cells? We'll talk about that too, on our next
Mhm.
talk when we're together. I think this is a big piece. Also, I feel with this AI stuff, I feel that we've gone through all these planetary cycles where we've gone the way of the dodo, and now it's all AI, and they evolve into mechas, and they in turn recreate the human race, synths, flesh and bloods. And in turn, after a few thousands or millions of years, we create the AI that in turn recreates the human, recreates the AI. I think we've gone through these cycles. It's not like it's the first time that we're talking about transhumanism, and humanism is a topic of conversation where we're going to moving more into AI. I think this has happened numerous times where the Mecha will be the dominant race on the planet, but then in turn, they'll recreate whatever they want to call them, synths, and then the actual flesh and blood humans. So we can talk, there's a lot of stuff to talk about since it's in the air. And if we talk about race history and bring a little bit of galactic history and merge that with neuroanatomy and neuroscience and the stuff that you're doing and these really amazing advances. I mean, if you really look at time cycles, the angelics in terms of our paradigm, in terms of relativistic time, they exist 6,000 years in our future in the next harmonic universe, the angelic versions of ourselves. I mean, just think how technology is advancing year to year, every 10, every 100 years. Imagine 6,000 years in the future. It's amazing we can even have rational conversations with these beings, which I don't think we do half the time. But that's a whole nother conversation. But it's going to be really
I
exciting
do.
having people like you and in the fields that you're in and really eminent in your field. I think with so much to say, so much cutting edge information it's already affecting our lives or going to affect our lives in the very near future. This is the stuff we need to talk about. And people really need to hear. People have to have have to have access to what you're doing, the work you're doing, and the revelations that you're having. And all of us, this is the principle of emergence. Just knowing your stuff in isolation or Barbara's stuff or all of our stuff in isolation, it doesn't have that emergent property. It's when we put all our stuff together and really start um, panning it like panning gold, you know, and coming out with some stuff that I think that can work for people on a practical day-to-day decision-making basis. Don't you agree, Doug? More or less?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that you just said that I could unpack. And if you're directing a lot of that towards me, I could unpack a lot of it because I'm a science guy,
Yeah.
But I'm a science guy who's interested in consciousness. And a lot of what I hear out there is psychobabble, and I'm trying to not sound like that as a technologist. And I believe that AIs, we have too many science fiction stuff that we're picking up the concepts from science fiction and applying it to what's going on with AI right now. And most of it's not true. Some of it is true. And why would we have to work on transhumanism when we're already not humans? We're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? So, so I'm interested in real intelligence, not artificial intelligence. What's the difference? AI is simulating a hyperdimensional space, and consciousness and mind is actually in a hyperdimensional space, hyperbit, a cloud. And that consciousness is an auric, an orb, whatever you want to call it, and that exists outside of space-time. So it's not 6,000 in the futures, it's out of time. So you can't really put a time frame in it.
Well, we do
and
that just to be able to
I know
navigate
it's a metaphor.
navigate these concepts
But I'm just
in
trying
a
to
sort
say,
of linear way. We have to, on a
our
relativistic sort of sense.
our language and our worldview affects our language, and which affects back our worldview. So what I'm trying to do is change the worldview to be this spiritual essence of who we are, and the science to support that, and I call it source science, and it's information oriented, because in this domain there's no energy, there's no matter, there's no space, there's no time. What is there? There's just this information essence, right? And the label I've added to that is existence, because it's the root of consciousness and the root of physicality in the universe. So if you were a wizard, you could manipulate that source science that exists on infrastructure and create things. It's a creative force. That's how essentially what God is God is the sum of all existence in the world, in the universe, you know, and it creates our world. Our world is a simulation running on top of that. So these are the kinds of ideas I'm trying to get across to people, which is not the same story that the scientism people are saying about AI.
Yeah, that's
okay,
correct.
transhumanism. So I mean, I'm not trying to discount what you were saying. It's an important metaphor, but we realize that our language and our worldview is affecting how we think and talk about things too much. So I'm trying to steer us in the right direction of where we really are, the source science spiritual being. And then there's science behind that too. And we can talk about that in a concrete way. And so hopefully I've given you some ideas about the dialogue that I think that collectively we need to have as a human race, but also these organizations that are taking a leadership role in this. And Sheila takes that role, you know, this light language and walk-ins, and that's all part of that story, you know, and galactic beings and star seeds, you know, that's all part of that story. And if you think that we're just a classical computer and consciousness is emergent from the brain, if that's what you believe, then none of that's possible. You know, everybody just discounts all that because it can't possibly exist, right? And so part of it is what's science fiction, discernment about what's science fiction and what's science, and what's the models that we have and what's possible as a result of those models. So that's where I'm coming from.
What's unexplainable?
Yeah, well, it has the thing is, we don't know where meaning comes from in the universe either, nor consciousness, right? Or life. And so those are kinds of the things that we need to understand is, where does meaning come from? Is there such a thing as an Akashic records or an Akashic database? And we can tap into that for our learning, and we're feeding that all the time. So, you know, Barbara, if you're empathic, you could connect to existence now that you know that they exist. They're the fundamental layer of consciousness.
Say that again.
Existence are the fundamental layer of consciousness in the universe, and they're down at the Planck scale of the physical universe. And once you know they exist, I've had other people, once I introduce this, that they know that they exist, they can start tapping into it immediately. And one of the light language people at the Light Language Conference, and Dina Melchizedek, she did a video for me. She says, this is existence talking to me. And here comes an art light language videos. Go look at quantumdoug.com and you can see her video. And so once we know that this stuff exists, we just didn't know it exists. We didn't know we could focus our attention there and interact with them at this level.
Maybe we see it in many different ways.
Yes. I see it as science. Other people see it as art. Some other people see it as telepathy and you know, experience them at that level. And it's all telepathy. It's all telepathy and all, because we're all connected. This notion of oneness, and holism, that's a fundamental property that we have to explain. What's the mechanism in the universe that allows wholeness to exist? Because classical worldview means we're all separated. So holism is a whole concept that I'm working on as well.
Well, this is going to be an interesting probably set of conversations. My background is physics. Okay. I spent a summer at Lincoln Labs, Institute for Advanced Studies, Princeton, Yale, Rutgers. My double major in physics and film studies. So I come from that place too. It's always been with me a matter of we have to develop a bridging lexicon. We speak the same thing, but in different languages. Your existons, which I absolutely love, we call them particae, you know, and so it's going to be interesting when we talk about
microvita is another name that's similar to it. Microvita, which is a micro life. Miniature life.
Yeah, some call them adamantine. It's way below the quantum level. We talk about
this is all below the quantum level.
Talk about,
in fact, it's at the mathematical
way below. Yeah, but I do
It's
think
that,
I believe that mathematics isn't the universal language. I think there's are deeper secrets that are going to be revealed. You know,
yes.
I've had talk with some of the with some I got cheated out of 2 Nobel Prizes. You want to know why? No, it's just I just quantum dot theory, all this stuff. We'll talk about some really cool stuff. What I like about
Yeah.
what we do, but we have to talk about there has to be a bridging for us to really move forward with this. We have to have a bridging language, a bridging lexicon or vocabulary where I'll
Yep.
talk about Keylontic science, somebody will talk about the keys of Enoch, we'll talk about it more in the language of mainstream science. I tend to side more with you because I've known about the existence of existons or what you call existons. It makes me very excited because we're getting right to the nature of source. We're getting right to the
Yeah,
nature.
exactly. Source.
They may call them adamantine particles, God particles, although they're off on some wild goose chases, I'll admit. It's going to take them
Yeah.
some time to really reckon with what's really happening. But I
Yeah.
brought a lot of this stuff to in recent years back to Princeton, MIT, friends I still have there. But you've got to talk their language. They don't know our language. We have to find
Well, that's
some
what I'm
bridge
trying to do. Yeah.
vocabulary. And I think you've got a really good thing because what you're talking about can be understood or at least welcomed by mainstream science because it's in the
Yeah.
language or it's in the vocabulary that mainstream science can
Yeah.
understand. And any
Yeah.
kind of,
I'm using a
I don't,
variation of
yeah,
Clifford algebra right now, which is the sort of
yeah,
the top language used for science to talk about quantum field theory and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Clifford
yeah.
algebras. And so,
So we're going to
so
have
that's,
some really interesting conversations. And I really would
yeah.
be funny
Good to
getting
hear
the
about your physics background. Thanks
my
for that.
adventures and misadventures in yeah in the world of high energy plasma particle nuclei and particle physics. Anyway, I
Mhm.
have too much of a sense of humor to have gone into academia seriously, you know. But we'll see how that happens. But this is really good because I think this is important. You know, this is to know what we are, our composition. Know thyself. That's not the whole line. Know thyself and thy composition, and that's the knowledge that'll set us free. It gets into some very deep
Mhm.
philosophical areas, but we need to know what to move further in this. We need to know who we are, where we come from, why we're here, what our purpose is. And it's going to get into some areas that we can debate till the cows come home about it, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but it's important. But this is where a lot of people are coming from. So you've got to establish some kind of rapport with them, or else we lose
Yeah.
them. There will be a
Yeah.
disconnect, you know,
And
if we
yeah, and yet we have to expect that spiritually transformative experiences are part of the discussion from the beginning, because people who naturally exclude them or are coming at it from a prove it perspective, I mean, it's like I think therefore I am is proof enough for most people, but not
you know,
to the people who disbelieve it. So um,
yeah, for those disbelievers, well, we just, you know, people just their attention spans are just getting shorter. It's just people have been dumbed down or allowed themselves to be dumbed down or spoon fed or not even, you know,
conceptual silos too.
involuntarily dumbed down or even voluntary dumbed down. People that choose that they don't want to expand more, they
Flat
don't want to
flat Earth
under,
society kind of thing.
understand more. And that requires a little more attention, a little more time and energy and dedication and patience. We can still learn
Yep.
new things. We can be open to some new things, even if they are scientific. We still have to filter out the pseudoscience, the stuff that's
Mhm.
obviously pseudoscience or voodoo
Mhm.
science or just downright crapola, you know. But a lot of it is well-meaning. A lot of it isn't well-meaning. A lot of it is to take us into areas that are meant to distract us, I know, you know. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of it is very well intentioned, but a lot of the dumbing down of the world has been intentional. Some of it's been non-intentional. Some of they're just doing the best they
Anti-intellectual, yeah.
can. Yeah. And we have to understand we have to reach people first. We don't have to make PhDs out of everybody. We don't have to,
Mm.
they don't have to understand graduate level physics or even philosophy. Just talk to them on a real as humanly as possible
Yeah.
and just introduce some things, not say that this is the way it is. This is what we feel. This is what we believe based on our
Hmm.
experience. It's not the gospel. We don't
Hmm.
want to force anything down their throats. We don't want to scare people. We don't want to disconnect people. What we really want to do is bring people together. So we have to find areas of commonality. We have to be
Yeah.
patient. We have to be,
Encourage their curiosity.
yeah.
Mhm.
And also we have to really do the best in embodying the attitudes of mastery. We have to be patient. We have to be compassionate, understanding. We have to be impeccable. We have to carry integrity. We have to understand what gratitude and forgiveness really is. Because without those, everything we know not going to go very far. You know, if we bring the stuff we haven't healed or resolved into our conversation, that's not going to work if we don't know the proper place and functioning of the ego, all this stuff. And we're coming into a time, I think, where we really need to understand it is who we are. We need to treat ourselves very gently and firmly, tough love when it's required, soft love when it's welcomed. But we just have to really be that way. We really have to be really just good, honest people and do the best we can, share what we share, and understand that what we say, again, isn't the gospel. This is how do we know what it is? We can make
Mhm.
suggestions. We can be very, uh, can make good arguments for what we believe. But then again, we can try to do it as evidence-based as possible. We can try to use scientific method or methodologies, but even there's only a limit to how far
Yeah.
that can go. Imagine what's going to happen next year, 10 years, 15 years, relativistically speaking, 6,000 years, a million years ago. I mean, it's fascinating. It's just life in all of its, you know, twists and turns to me is endlessly fascinating. But I think
Yep.
what you have to bring to the mix and then mix with everything else. I think there's nothing
Yeah.
that needs to be incompatible with this. Everything has value. Everything is
Yeah.
important.
It's everybody's spiritual gifts too, so
That's right. And I'm glad that
and
you,
artistic gifts and our scientific gifts. These are all intuition,
right.
the universe trying to inform us through intuition in all of these domains.
Mhm.
That's right. So I think these conversations are really important now,
And at the
especially,
medium, I could definitely tell you that it's very important to connect with yourself and your higher self and what you call the existence. Um,
Yeah.
it's very important to connect to every single particle in the world because each one of them has a different message and a different frequency, which
Consciousness.
help
Yeah.
you,
Consciousness. Yeah.
yeah.
exactly, which helps
Yeah.
you remember who you truly are, not just what they tell you you
Mhm.
are.
Yeah.
But to be clear, that's bucking the system because the system is dedicated right now to divide and conquer. So you're
Mhm.
180 degrees against the system at this point. And we
Mhm.
really need to understand that the whole dumbing down, the whole lack of attention is systematically being programmed into us because what is more dividing than self isolation?
Mhm.
Mhm. Very
Well,
true.
if isolation is about segregating people, but if there's
Mhm.
no space in this mental world, we're all one. So it's just an artifact of the fact of our language and our conceptual space and our physical space, but that's not who we really are. We're all one in the spiritual domain. And so
Agreed.
once
But
we
again,
realize,
we have to understand that that's bucking the system and we have
yep,
to know our enemy because if we
yep,
don't know our enemy, we'll underestimate our enemy and we won't be
we'll have
able
to
to
love them
reach
either
the
way.
people.
and know our allies,
Well, I don't think
You
you
know,
We'll
see
our
them
love them
as
either
lives.
way, right?
I know there
like
are
nature
antagonists. I know there are
Mhm.
antagonists, and I know there are
and love.
there's another word for it, enemies. I wouldn't want to even frame it that way. I mean, we certainly don't let them walk over. We certainly know their agendas. We have our agendas. You keep your enemies closer, but you got to keep your friends even closer than you keep your enemies. You know, they go so far, but not far enough, I don't think. Yes, keep your friends closer, keep your enemies closer, but keep your dearest friends, the ones that are most dear to you, the closest, even closer than the ones you perceive as, I can't remember the word, antagonists, adversaries. Don't look upon, even in the Gospels, even in the Pissa Sophia, Jesus says, don't look at Mary, to Peter, don't look at Mary like you look at the adversaries. Or one of the other disciples said that if the Lord found her worthy, who are you to question her when she just came from seeing the ascension process and trying to describe it the best she could? Well, these were these guys, you know. He basically, who did Jesus choose to be his disciples? Pretty much uneducated fishermen and tax collectors. I think he wanted the women, but he had to bring the men along because they were all married. And if you wanted the women, you know, you had to bring the men along. The men were basically clueless, most of them macho. They didn't believe that women were worthy of life. Not, but that's a mistranslation. They believed Peter and Andrew and those other ones. They didn't believe that women were worthy of the life, to be teachers, to be way showers, to be guides. But that was their machismo in that time, you know. We know that there were circles of mirrors. We know more of the truth now about the rightful place of the feminine in the spiritual hierarchy. And all that's very important now because, I mean, just because it is, in order to come into wholeness, in order to even approach understanding what, like with Doug into what the oneness is, to have some
Oneness, yeah,
way of
wholeness.
comprehending it and knowing that you're part of it. You know, Rudolf Steiner said, in moments of grace we remember. So we're really asking people to remember this innate divine connection. People want to forget it or forced ignorance. Well, if people want to hold fast to that, there's not much we can do. We can just say what we need to say and share what we need to say to share. And if people continue their resistance, well, we just have to bid them adieu, you know. Good luck to you on your on your journey wherever that's taking you, and stick to our guns, you know. It's, you know,
Yep.
there's gun control and there should be fun control too. We should have fun along the way. We're meant to revel in this. We're meant to have, you know, we're meant to really revel in the fact that we're alive, that we've been given this precious gift of aliveness and loveness, to be able to love, to feel love, to receive love, to give love on all these different levels. You know, I love it. We're all working, right? You know, you've heard everybody say we're all works in progress. Well, we are. We're moving forward, don't you think? Maybe a couple of steps backwards from time to time, but we're always moving forward. The conversation is moving forward, and that's a good thing. And I think things like this, the cosmic conversations, having guests like you and participants, I think it helps to move the conversation forward. And that's a really good thing. And you're right. In some ways, LD, it's bucking the system. Well, fine. They could use a kick in the ass now and then, you know?
Yeah.
So can we. A little reality check now and then. Anyway, we
And
have to sort of start the closing now, I guess. So
Phil, I want to say
Glenda,
something.
who do you have on? Oh, you want
I
to
want
play a song, Suze?
no,
no,
she
let me
wants
Susie.
to
just say,
say something.
Okay, go
I want to
ahead.
talk. I just
Yeah.
want, Phil, this was the quality of the energy of this last hour is what's going to bring our 100 people back. This was so beautiful. There was such a beautiful integrity. There's only six of us. I got to know Barbara more. I've met Quantum Doug before, but an LD, I mean, this was priceless. And we need to say that. We need to say, Phil, this was beautiful. We get the quality of our energy together here, and it will expand to others. I'm positive. I love you, Phil. This was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Very
thanks.
eloquent.
You're beautiful too. Everything is beautiful in its own way. See, Ray Stevens, the man was a prophet, you know, and
Mm.
we appreciate him at the time, you know?
All we need is love.
Yes,
Dum,
that's
dum,
Mhm.
dum.
Mastership.
Yeah.
I watch Britney Spears videos for the geometry of their dancers. You know, mastership. I
Mhm.
just, it's mastery in motion there. You know. Anyway, Quantum Doug, QD, thank you so much. Barbara Barnett, BB.
Yeah.
What a joy. What a joy. LD
Glenda
and
and
Glenda
Phill, thanks.
Thank
and
you.
Susie and me. So Glenda, who do you have on tap next week? Next
I
Tuesday?
have Jen Cohen, who's going to talk to us about her ability to heal others with energy in different ways. So
There you
basically,
go. And
yeah.
next week I have the Finbar Ross, who couldn't get on,
Oh,
even though he tried 10 times. Finbar runs a sacred mystical journeys all the year long. He does these journeys all over the world to really great
Mhm,
places. I turned him on last year to going to Malta. I've been to Malta several
mhm,
times. Malta is a very cool place to go. Malta is really right in the heart of the center of the Mediterranean. They've had a lot of influences through the centuries. It's just a short ferry ride to Sicily and also to northern Africa. Malta is a really cool place. Beautiful megalithic, Paleolithic sites focused on the divine feminine. Malta is a really cool place. So that's who I have. Finbar is going to talk about his trips around the world all these years. And then we have after him the next week after Finbar. Guess who we have on August 21st? Dee Wallace. Do you know who Dee Wallace is? I bet you know her and you don't know her. You don't know you know her. Did you see the movie E.T., the extraterrestrial?
mhm.
Elliot's mother, she played Elliot's mother in the
Oh,
movie
nice.
Oh,
E.T.
okay.
And
Okay.
she's been on the circuit for many, many years. She does her own very special work. She was last at the Contact in the Desert. She's a really, really cool lady. I visited her in Calabasas several years ago. She's really, really neat. So we have a really, really cool lineup of people. Barbara, Dougie will get you in October. So it's really, really good. I'm glad we got asked to do this, Glenda. I'm glad
Mhm.
we're keeping it going.
And we
You
will.
know,
Yep.
We will get it back up. That's all.
you will get it back out. Barbara, good
Yeah.
night. I love you so
Take
much.
care.
Okay.
All
Nice to
right.
meet all
Doug,
of you.
everybody, thank you
Thank
again
Thank
you.
for
you.
joining us on
Bye,
Quantum
Barbara.
Conversations. We'll see
Mwah.
you. Please look us up on Cosmic Awakening Network, Cosmic Conversations. Glenda's on Tuesdays. I'm on Thursdays.
Right.
Lots of love to you all, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all later. And Doug, I'll get
Take
back to
care.
you and Barbara
Yeah,
too
thanks.
about the dates.
Good to
Okay.
meet you all.
Lots of love, everybody.
Bye.
Mm.
Bye.
Hug.
Okay. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.